Welcome, Diploma students! Get ready for another Explainer study session where we are going to visually decode CVP analysis for your final exams. I am so pumped to guide you through this topic today.
Okay, let's just dive right into this beautiful journey to profitability. To make this super relatable, imagine we've just launched a really cute campus side hustle selling customized tote bags. If we want this little business to survive, we really need to know our numbers, right?
Because honestly, we all want to know the exact moment our campus side hustle actually starts putting cash into our pockets, instead of totally draining them. Well, that magic moment is exactly what we are mapping out today.
Here's our study checklist for today's explainer. We're covering the traditional chart, the contribution chart, the profit volume chart, and finally, calculations and mistakes.
Starting with Section 1, the traditional chart, which is our break-even baseline.
Building this is literally just like following a baking recipe. First, you pull out your ingredients, your total fixed costs, your selling price, and your variable costs. Next, you do a really quick calculation to build out your data table. Then you sketch your horizontal and vertical axes. And finally, you just plot your total revenue and total cost lines to find exactly where they cross.
Now, when you map out the data, something really interesting happens right at the 30,000 unit mark. Notice how everything perfectly aligns there? Our total revenue perfectly matches our total cost at exactly 150,000 ringgit. And you know what that means? It means our profit is exactly zero.
And mapping this out brilliantly illustrates that exact 30,000 unit data point as our break-even point. It's the exact spot where the total cost line and the total revenue line completely intersect. Any volume below that intersection, yeah, that's our loss area. But once we push past those 30,000 units, the revenue line rises above the cost line and we have officially entered the profit zone.
Moving on to Section 2, the contribution chart, focusing on variable costs.
So the one crucial difference you absolutely need to memorize for your exams is that we swap out the fixed cost line and draw the variable cost line instead. That's literally it. Everything else, the break-even point, the overall profit, stays exactly the same.
But by making that one tiny swap, we immediately unlock this beautiful space between the total revenue line and the variable cost line. And that space? That is our total contribution. This is a total game changer because we can visually read our contribution margin instantly just by looking at the gap between those lines.
Next up is Section 3, the profit volume chart, which is all about pure profitability.
You can think of the PV chart as the minimalist approach. It strips away all those messy cost lines, so we only see one single clear line dictating our profit and loss. It is the absolute cleanest way to look at how our business is performing.
See how peaceful and clear this perspective is? You just track your profit on the vertical axis against the units on the horizontal axis. The exact moment our line breaks above that zero axis at 30,000 units, boom, we enter the profit area. Oh, and here's a pro tip. Notice where the line starts on the far left at 0 units? It's deep down in the loss area at minus 60,000, which, perfectly enough, is exactly equal to our total fixed costs.
Finally, Section 4, calculations and common mistakes. Okay, math time. The absolute most crucial part here is understanding the net profit formula and knowing exactly what every single symbol represents before you start plugging in numbers. So NP stands for net profit. PX is simply your price multiplied by your units, which gives you total revenue. The BX part, that's your total variable cost, and A is your total fixed cost. If we ever want to find the break-even point, we just set that NP to a big fat 0.
Let's actually walk through a scenario from our notes. We'll set profit to 0 and isolate X to find our target units. First, we drop our numbers right into the formula. 0 equals 40 times X minus 15 times X minus 550,000. Next, we group our terms by bringing those fixed costs over to the other side. That gives us 550,000 equals 25x. Finally, we just divide to solve for x.
And beautifully, the algebra brings us to exactly 22,000 units. That's the exact number of units we need to sell to break even for this specific scenario. Pretty straightforward, right?
But wait, what if we want to know our cushion? To find your margin of safety, or MOS, you simply take your budgeted 70,000 units and subtract that 22,000 break-even point we literally just calculated. That leaves us with a safe 48,000 units. The margin of safety is exactly what it sounds like. It tells us exactly how much our sales can drop before we actually start losing money.
Now, have you ever made a silly mistake on a quiz? We have all been there, but let's avoid them on the final. Mixing up the horizontal and vertical axes is a massive trap. Make sure you double-check your axes and explicitly label your MOS area to grab those full marks. And please, please don't forget to plot your negative fixed cost point on the vertical axis when you're drawing your PV chart.
Look, I know math and graphing can feel kind of intimidating, especially when you're under exam pressure. But you just have to remember that these graphs are simply visual stories of success. They tell you exactly where a business starts, the struggles it faces with costs, and that exact thrilling moment it crosses the finish line into profit.
So take a deep breath, grab your favorite pastel highlighters, review your notes, and you are absolutely going to crush your MAF201 finals. But before we wrap up this explainer, I want you to ask yourself, if you launched your very own side hustle tomorrow, what would be your margin of safety? Keep analyzing, stay super focused, and keep learning.